Welcome back to Season 4, Episode 16 of T-Dub, where everyone's a sports expert.
The podcast that makes you care about sports, including President Connolly.
We're an original podcast created and produced by Long Beach State student-run newspaper, the Long Beach Current. I'm Maddie C.
I'm Maddie G.
Today, we got a familiar guest on the podcast. We got the athletic director of Long Beach State Athletics, Mr. Bobby Smitheran over there.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me again.
Good to have you back. Hard to track down this season compared to the last. I know we've had a couple times slots set up, but here we are. Glad to have you.
Yeah, glad to be with you guys. Well, I'm a busy guy, right?
So
but I'm excited that it's episode 16. So, you know, what great numbers of 16 in pro sports.
Yep.
I don't, maybe there's somebody that pops off the top of your head.
I'm a Joe Montana guy, Niners.
Okay.
He's my guy, so.
I don't even think I have a 16 that comes to my mind.
I'm going to go old school. Doc Gooden,
Ooh.
I think, was a 16 for the New York Mets.
I think so, too.
That's a good show.
Yeah. So we'll start it off. We're at the conclusion of some of the fall sports here at the beach. Getting into some of these winter ones. We got a really big game tomorrow, welcoming the number one team in the country with UCLA women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Kind of just want to get your opinions on your evaluation of some of the teams here. We'll start with the men's water polo team making it to the first round of the NCAA tournament after winning the Big West. Kind of just get your thoughts there to start.
Yeah, it was obviously a great finish to the season, and Gavin and the coaching staff did a great job with a young roster, as a lot of freshmen played significant minutes for a team that advanced to the NCAA National Championship. And, you want to see a team getting better as the season progresses, and they certainly did that and put themselves in a position to compete for national championship. And, I think we're really proud of how they performed at the national championship. Fordham was, a tough program, 30-0, undefeated throughout the entire season. So just really proud, though, of how they represented us here at the beach.
And then women's soccer, I know, different season maybe than was expected. Obviously, Cherry Cox stepped away for the season, and then now we know Liz Warden has transferred out. So just kind of your thoughts there for Mauricio and the squad.
I think it was a tough season just from a health standpoint. There were just so many, significant injuries to significant players. So that's always a tough thing that you can't prepare for, and so. Excited about who's going to return from those injuries, and Mauricio will get them back and going, and excited for what next season will hold with a healthy roster for sure.
And then moving to, I think, what might arguably be one of the biggest sort of headlines in Long Beach State sports. You made the decision to promote Natalie Reagan to the permanent head coach of the women's volleyball team.
Yes.
They really finished off the season strong.
Yeah.
Came to the end there in the tournament, but they really finished that year strong. They had some bit of a rough patch dealing with some 5-set matches in the middle there, but kind of just go through that decision. Did you talk to any of sort of the players or get any insight with different people within the kind of group?
Yeah. The women's volleyball program obviously is a historic program for Long Beach State. It's a program of real significance, and our community, obviously is very involved and is passionate about it, and it needs to be the right person to lead that program. And Natalie is a person of passion. If you get to know her, that's what comes right off the page, is that she's going to bleed black and gold and do the best for the program, for the student athletes. And I think for me, two things that really are off the top is one, she was able to retain 100% of the roster in that transition. And then she retained 100% of the recruits that staff was recruiting in the recruiting cycle. So I think that tells you a lot about her coaching staff, Jordan, Bjarna, all of the folks that are associated with the volleyball program. What she did was establish a really great culture where the student athletes can, succeed and feel supported. And then there's the other pieces behind that. How do you manage a program? It's the paperwork, it's compliance, it's academics, it's being out in the community and doing a good job with our supporters. And so when you look at all those different boxes, she did a great job. And certainly, as you saw, the team got better towards the end of the season again, as we talk about progression, winning a game in the Big West Conference tournaments, getting ourselves to a semifinal. This was her first year of being a head coach at a Division I institution. And so, I'm really just impressed with how she managed it, how the student athletes responded to her. And I think it really bodes well for what the future looks like for our women's volleyball program.
I know it was now like almost over a year ago, but I don't think we ever really necessarily got to hear your words on it.
Yeah.
But just what was kind of the difficulties, I guess, with Tyler stepping away? And I know it was very late into the portal and everything, just last minute, it felt.
Yeah, I think, obviously Tyler is a Hall of Fame caliber former student athlete of ours, right? And has an incredible career and is a legend here at Long Beach State. And so anytime you lose somebody like that, that's a tough loss. But what he did was set the table for Natalie and how that program was going to move forward. So, the timing probably was the most difficult part of it. You can't ever control these things, right? That's life, and people make decisions that's in the best interest of themselves. And I respect the decision, and our job was to make sure that the program didn't miss a beat, and we kept moving forward. And Natalie stepping into an interim role is a challenge for anybody because there's not a lot of security in that. And she really just grabbed the reins and took control, which was, great to see and showed a lot of leadership.
Another coaching transition. You had some more time to obviously kind of decide what this, is coming. Basketball, men's basketball, Chris Acker bringing on a former colleague at San Diego State. Obviously, the start to the season was a little less than ideal, but when you have a whole new roster, 12 of 15 players changing,
right?
I mean, that's kind of expected.
Yeah.
But they've been playing some good basketball as of late, 3 straight wins. We both were at the San Diego game the other night, came home on the same freeway. One lane, I'm following you. But talk about just what you've seen from there. I know that was a decision you were involved in with the national search and kind of just what you've seen so far with them.
Yeah, I think Chris, from the start has said, don't judge us on game 1. Look at us game 10, game 15, game 20, because as you said, as you replace, 12 of 15 student athletes, that's a big transition in terms of picking up offensive and defensive principles, gelling, understanding the roles, the coaching staff. That's the first time that this coaching staff has been together. So they're figuring, themselves out as well. And, it's really been, 3 of those losses were by a total, I think, of 6 points. And we had the ball in our hands to win the game. I think 2 of those 3. And so, you put your student athletes in a position to win a game, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think what you're hopefully starting to see now is with these 3 wins in a row is that coming together and really understanding how to play together. And these student athletes maybe came from previous institutions where maybe they were a role player at a Power 5 institution, maybe they're coming off of an injury. And so, it's a lot for everybody to come together, and really excited about, the direction that we're headed. And as you look at the Big West Conference, you certainly like your opportunities and to compete, against all of those institutions.
And I think just as like someone covering the sport of basketball, I think it's been really fun to watch this year. I mean, last year, obviously it was incredible kind of the finish we had, but there were nights that it looked like the team it looked a little stale at the end. It looked a little they lacked that juice. But I think this year, just watching a whole new team come in, it's kind of refreshing to see like just a whole different group. And I don't know, it's just been fun to watch for me. It also helps that I've been at all 4 wins this year, so I'm going to keep going to game.
We got to have you at every game.
We're 4-0 when I've covered the games, 0-8 when I haven't been there. I'm gonna try and go to
So I need to talk to you about those 8 games that you weren't at.
Yeah.
Hey, if we could get some travel coordination, I'm going to go to Pepperdine on Thursday, though, so
there we go.
I'll be there.
And then I want to bring up something that maybe doesn't get talked about as much as it definitely should, but just some of the criticisms we saw of this team during the slump, especially on Instagram, just sports gambling becoming such a bigger focus and on collegiate gambling. How do you kind of talk to those players through that?
Yeah, I think it's a national challenge, and one that NCAA President Baker in a recent meeting I was in spoke to, that as with the proliferation of gambling in college athletics, social media, these are young people who are not professionals, and the keyboard warriors that are out there to, kind of take these shots. I mean, it's tough to, as we'd like to tell our student athletes to ignore those things. They're human beings, and, they're doing the best they can. And I think what we've hoped people would understand is it's a program in transition. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be difficult to think that a program coming off of that NCAA tournament experience, replacing almost the entire roster, is going to have some valleys, some bumps, and that's where we hope that those true fans who are with us, thick and through, will be through the ride. And what I see in practice mm-hmm. is what gets me excited, and I think that's what gets the coaching staff excited. Is those guys haven't quit, they haven't relented in terms of their preparation, their excitement, their being bought into the program. They play hard defense, and I think that's what always is going to keep us in these games. Is if the ball's not going in on our side, we're going to play hard defense, and that's going to give us a chance to compete. So that's what I'm excited about. But I think, again, Maddie, to your point, the comments, the social media, you have to just kind of turn a blind eye to that and stick to the principles and what we're trying to achieve.
And the harsh thing about it, I feel like it's easy to get on teams that are down. Like, right. We see it when that losing streak was happening, there was a lot more like, what the heck's going on, whatever. Right. But when we're winning,
right,
it's a lot less quiet. Yeah. Or it's more quiet. Yeah. I mean, so it's easy to attack people when they're down. So,
I think that's the nature of sports. People are passionate about sports, right? Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that passion. Mm-hmm. You welcome it. And you understand that there's, with the losses comes the negativity, and with the wins, that stuff goes away, and those people are also there maybe hopefully to pat you on the back.
And then more on not necessarily the sports side, but really the biggest headline, I think, at the college, President Conley retiring. Yes. And then, President Conley's generally been considered a really supportive president of sports.
Absolutely.
So what was it kind of like working with her during your guys' brief, crossing, and then how does a president necessarily change or affect how sports can operate?
Well, she hasn't left yet, has she?
Well, yeah, that's true. We got 6 months.
We got 6 months.
You're right.
And
salvage it.
Yes, so use it as best we can. And President Conley has been tremendous, for the athletics department prior to my arrival, and certainly during my time here at Long Beach State. And I think the thing that people don't see in the public is how much she cares about our student athletes. I mean, she genuinely cares, and we'll send messages, text messages to our head coaches to congratulate them on a big win. And she wants our student athletes to be healthy, successful. She cares about their well-being, and I think that's first and foremost. Secondarily, she has really financially supported athletics and created opportunities for our student athletes that previously didn't exist. As I think about the softball, women's soccer locker room, the women's water polo locker room, just different areas that we needed institutional support. Mm-hmm. She stepped up and provided that for our student athletes. So she certainly has earned this retirement, and hopefully we'll give her some championships on the way out.
Yeah, I think 3 of the most surprising moments for me with her was, number 1, her coming on Teed Up. Never expected to get the president of the university to come on a podcast that was mostly just banter for the longest time. Coming on with no PR was shocking. And then I know we saw her outside of the pyramid one time. She came and hugged us, everything. And then the last one was this season. We had TJ Bruce on. She personally emailed
both of us
alongside TJ Bruce, and was like, that was such a great episode. And I was like,
oh, that's great.
Thank you.
She's paying attention.
Yeah.
She knows ball.
It meant a lot.
She does.
Talking about some of the more like institutionalized aspects of sports, this semester was announced that Hawaii will be leaving the Big West in the coming years. You were at San Diego State when, if I'm not mistaken, when it was kind of originally rumored like you guys were trying to move to the Pac-12, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. So you have some experience kind of with the conference realignment. We've seen it so much with that, with the Power 5 conferences. Now it's Power 4, I guess. Kind of talk about how that affects us as a school, seeing one of our bigger schools in the conference leave, kind of just how does that kind of work?
Yeah, and then I'll take it a step further. UC Davis announcing last week that they were departing for the Mountain West Conference. So, we have 2 institutions, 2 of our 11 institutions departing after the 25-26 academic year. And certainly you hate to see that, right? Because I think everybody was very happy with and still is with the makeup of the membership of the Big West Conference. And so certainly the carousel of conference realignment takes another spin. And certainly we will, as a member of the Big West Conference, we have great leadership there. The athletic directors, the presidents of those member institutions believe in one another. And so how do we move forward is the next conversations that have to take place. So that's at the presidential level. Certainly the athletic directors are talking about that as well. And so, stay tuned in. We'll see what happens next. But certainly we want to, my job and role is to do what's best for Long Beach State University. And so President Connolly, Scott Appel, our CFO, we're having those conversations about, making sure that we are doing the best again for Long Beach State.
So with those two gone now, we're just an entirely SoCal conference, I guess, with those. Just 9 schools left down here. So.
Yeah, which, in some ways is obviously from a travel perspective is a lot easier, but
cheaper.
Cheaper. Thank you. Has some there's that value, but again, you want to make sure that we have the members that is right for our sport participation. That our student athletes are having great experiences.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure athletes aren't too particularly thrilled with one less trip to Hawaii each year.
Yeah. And the other side of that is recruiting from a coach perspective, to go into a recruit's house and say every 2 years you're going to get to go to the islands. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it may force some creativity from our coaches in terms of scheduling to still provide those opportunities for our student athletes. But the Big West Conference has allowed Hawaii to come in as an affiliate member in 4 sports: beach volleyball, men's volleyball, women's water polo, and men's swimming and diving. So we'll still you'll still see some of the Hawaii Rainbow uniforms coming through the beach here and there.
And I think those games are really special too.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of the fan base, their support, they definitely show up to the Pyramid, and it makes for a fun environment. So I definitely enjoy those games.
Yeah. Great.
I want to go back to March Madness and talk more on the logistical side. So prize money, how does that necessarily work? It was something very hard to figure out when I was doing research. It's divvied up to the conference, and then the conference can feed that to the program. So you guys don't necessarily get a cut until the conference provides it.
Yeah, so there's a revenue distribution that comes from the NCAA from the CBS contract. So as you win games, you earn these units.
Yeah.
And then it's up to every conference to determine how those units are shared out.
Okay.
So don't try to do the math on it, Maddie, but that's where there's such value in programs making a run in the NCAA March Madness tournament because of the financial windfall that comes back to the institutions.
Yeah.
What's exciting is that women's basketball is on the precipice of having that instituted as well with these units. So you'll see that as well coming from women's basketball, and that shows the growth of women's basketball nationally as well.
And then kind of just one more question to touch on the conference realignment. When you see 2 schools leave in a conference of 11, and now it's going to be 9, does any sort of thoughts in your head I know we have an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament from these conference wins. Does that sort of thing kind of pop into your head? All right, our conference, we've seen 2 schools leave now. Does this kind of shift anything with how the NCAA views, all right, automatic bids to the tournament through conference tournaments?
Yeah, no. We still have our automatic qualification, or AQ as we call it, because we have enough competing institutions in the conference.
Okay.
So that's not the concern, and we talk a lot about at the Big West Conference level about scheduling and making sure that we're making correct scheduling decisions to increase your RPI and position your team to have those opportunities possibly to earn an at-large selection outside of your automatic qualification. So it's a formula, and it's some kind of mad scientist work as well to put a basketball schedule together to get the most out of it.
And then we got the first year of the Big West tournament for baseball. How big is that? I mean, I feel like it's kind of overdue with how big, especially Big West baseball is. We got some powerhouses, really. Cal State Fullerton, UC Irvine, ourselves, Santa Barbara. I mean, just talk about that.
Yeah, it's, as well for softball. So baseball and softball this year, and it's certainly overdue for those two sports. And speaking of baseball, it's a conference of I don't want to say power conference, but in terms of baseball, we compete at a high level.
Yeah.
And so as you also look at the landscape of USC, UCLA, and the Big Ten Conference, does that create some other opportunities for Big West Conference institutions because of how people evaluate those conferences from a baseball perspective? So I think it's great for the Big West Conference. It's going to generate a lot of fan excitement. So we're excited to hopefully be a participant in that.
Excited it's at Fullerton too.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
With the tournament and it being like early days, now we know we're losing 2 programs in the Big West.
Yeah.
Is that stuff already starting to be discussed for how the tournament, I guess, is going to be readjusted come 25?
There's a lot of discussions going on. But it's 8 institutions, go to the tournament. You're speaking of basketball, correct?
No, I was going baseball, just because it's brand new and we're going to lose Davis and Hawaii.
Yeah, so I believe it's 5 institutions make it to the conference tournament. So, losing 2 institutions, I guess mathematically increases your chances to get to it, right? So not a terrible thing that way, but you certainly love the competition that those 2 institutions bring to the table, and they'll have an opportunity this year and next year.
Especially with a proven track record, really, of some of these schools producing just like major league talent. I feel like it's a good way to showcase. And then, I mean, we've been getting I think you call it the AQ, no, we'll get the AQ now, but the at-large bids into the tournament. So it'll definitely make for a more interesting end to the regular season as well.
Yeah, more parity, and I think that's the hope and goal, is that it creates multiple opportunities, for somebody who's maybe not the outright regular season champion to have an opportunity to earn that AQ and still get that regular season champion in. So
yeah, I mean, it's a year and a half now, right, at the helm for you.
Yeah.
What do you think you've learned the most? What's been the biggest takeaways? Maybe things you would have even changed.
I think, obviously I can't change what has happened. So I think just from a learning perspective, the finances behind college athletics and how that's evolving in this day and age of the House lawsuit from the NCAA, that's going to, shift how college athletics is played, really. So the financial part of it, but certainly leadership, personnel, working with people, and really understanding that at the end of the day, the buck stops with me in the athletic director role, and that's a new experience for me. So, really leaning into colleagues, peers, the incredible staff we have here on campus. I'm blessed to have President Connolly and Scott Appel as my bosses that I get to work with, and so I think, as well as just integrating myself into the Long Beach State community and the city of Long Beach, and I have family ties to the community, and so that I think has been a little more seamless. But certainly, introducing myself and my philosophy and my vision for the program to the campus, to the community is something that is evolving. And you come in with a plan, and I think what I've learned is that plan has to evolve based on external factors sometimes that are outside of your control, and so I'm figuring out as I'm going as well.
And then 75th anniversary this year of the school, 30th anniversary of the Pyramid.
Yep.
What else is kind of planned, I guess, going into the spring sports?
Yeah, spring's always busy. We are hosting the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championship, so that's a big opportunity as well. Coming off hosting the NCAA National Championship for men's volleyball, that kind of shifts our scheduling, and so it's going to be a busy spring, and making sure that all of our student athletes feel supported, and we're putting out good events, good experiences for our fans and the students, hopefully, who come out to support our student athletes.
And then I know our advisors will talk our ears off if we don't bring it up. So I guess with the 30th anniversary, is there also any sort of updates with the pyramid currently?
Yeah, no updates at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We're still waiting on this second report that hopefully will paint a picture of how we can move forward and what those costs will be associated with it. So nothing at this point.
Still kicking.
Still kicking.
And to bring up venues, I know you've gotten to travel some different places.
Yeah.
I think you went to Michigan last year, right, with the team. Is there a favorite away venue you've gotten to go to? It doesn't even have to be with Long Beach State. It could be at prior institutions.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to see what your competitors have from a facility perspective, fan engagement.
I like going to play. I'm trying to hit up all the Southern California schools.
Yeah.
I got a couple left.
I think certainly going to Michigan last year with the men's basketball team. I went to the University of Texas with our women's basketball team. So to see, those two institutions and all that they have in terms of, demonstrating their history, their success, and how they're evolving as athletic departments as well, I think has been really kind of eye-opening for me. So those have been two great ones for sure.
See what kind of fun toys they got at those campuses. Their athletic
they got some toys.
Yeah, they do.
And then, you're busy, but it's winter break. You got to have some sort of plan, something fun.
Yeah, we'll get away for a little bit with the family, and we said vacation or presents for the kids, and they said let's go do a little vacation. So we're gonna get out of town a little bit and just try to have some good quality family time together, because the spring it's a busy one. It's coming from San Diego State University, where the fall was so busy because of football. It's really in reverse here for us, with so many of our programs competing in the spring. So I'm fired up for the spring. I'm fired up for TJ Bruce is our new Dirtbags baseball coach to get started, and Kim Souter will field another great team, and we've got Oklahoma on the schedule, right?
Super Bowl Sunday, the morning of.
Absolutely.
Go there and then
you can watch the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so that's there's just a lot of exciting opportunities in the spring for us for sure.
Yeah, can we talk about TJ Bruce first? I guess we've had him on.
Yeah,
really great guy. I know something for us that's difficult is having players on, coaches on during season.
Sure.
He was really big on wanting to come on Teed Up every week during the season, get on here.
There we go.
But just
I like that.
His mentality, I guess, for a program that when we had the players on, they all mentioned just something that had been lacking, I guess, over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, and I think it's been discipline and being fair. There's been multiple this will be I think the third coach in 3 years, right? And so that's certainly a challenge for student athletes who crave for discipline, for culture, for understanding what they can expect from a coaching staff. So I think the fall was a great opportunity for TJ to set that culture, the expectations, and I think what I heard certainly from the guys that were on Teed Up and
thank you for watching.
Absolutely. But also watching them in practice and seeing them in the hallways is that they're really enjoying the culture that Coach Bruce has brought, and instilling that. His coaching staff, assistant coaching staff, is phenomenal. So I think they're really excited about what they can do now that they have that structure that Coach Bruce has brought.
Laying down a multi-year foundation.
Yes.
Something to grow.
Yeah, plan.
Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then volleyball side, I mean, this is going to be a test, I would say, for Allen, just necessarily. And he lost a lot of big players, right? It's going to be a good team.
But have you seen what he's brought in?
Exactly. He's always got something up his sleeve.
National team player.
I'm always looking up at him like this. So they look like volleyball players.
But what do you kind of expect, I guess, from men's volleyball this season?
I think, to be in the national conversation, I think Allen's mentality is always competing for a national championship. And so I think we're at that position of hopefully you reload. It's not a rebuild. And certainly with the recruits that he's brought in, and, he knows how to operate a championship caliber program. And so I think that is the expectation. And it's going to be, phenomenal to see those guys get going here pretty soon.
Coming up at the beginning of next month, end of this month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on today. I know you have a busy schedule.
Is that it? You guys are letting me off the hook.
Yep.
We got to go short. our editor's busy finals week.
Yep.
That's the only downside to booking you in as the final guest.
Yeah, sorry.
We're students.
But grand finale. That's how we look at it.
We also want to get you on after the season again.
Yeah,
really get an idea of where we went, where we landed.
Yeah, love to do it, and always a pleasure meeting with you guys and talking about beach athletics.
You got the outro?
Yeah, I'll close it out. Thank you so much for joining us for season 4, episode 16 of Teed Up. Thank you to our video and editor producer Aiden Swanepoel and our multimedia producer Elle Nicklin. If you want to stay up to date on the latest in Long Beach State sports, check out our website lbcurrent.com and follow us on socials at lbcurrent. Thank you so much for listening. See you guys later. Put the big hearts.
Throw up the big hearts.
Go Beach.
Oh yep, go Beach.